Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do something that we haven't done in a while, and we're going to do a commentating video.
We haven't done one of these for 2 years, I think, because there was no racing last year.
No racing.
Basically.
So this race that we are commentating is the pro men's short track race at National Champs. Macky also raced the single speed. That did actually happen before this race, but we're gonna do a whole vlog style video about that race. That was sort of his focus race. That will be out on Friday. So this is not that.
No, this was Sunday's race, so a couple days later. Make sure you're subscribed though, because I think that single speed race is gonna be a pretty good video, and that will be on Friday.
Should we cue it up? I think
I think so.
We are watching this along with you guys. I have not seen it. Macky has not seen the footage. He lived it. So,
I lived it.
You know.
All right, ready?
Ready and
set, play. Yeah, so they had done call-ups. We had all rolled up. Can't tell because the camera's facing forward, but I'm in the last row. I was the second to last call-up.
35 out of 37 call-ups. This is because Macky doesn't have any UCI points, any USAC points.
Yeah.
It is all based on points, not like, I don't know.
It's based on points.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't raced any USA Cycling cross-country races this year, so.
But as you can imagine, having the last call-up is not ideal. So let's see how this goes for him. We've got 30 seconds to the start.
And actually what they do is they say 15 seconds, and then at any point within the next 15 seconds, they blow the whistle.
All right, so 15 seconds, and they're off. That was definitely not 15 seconds. Why did they even do? Okay, this is extremely fast. There are 35 guys ahead of him. Oop, this guy in yellow is coming in on you hot.
Yeah. I was like, I don't see any reason. Oh, there goes Howard up on the left
Howie.
side.
So Macky started right next to Howard Gratz. And as you can tell, Howard found a hole shot over here and ended up leading the first lap.
Yeah.
Macky was not quite so lucky.
Quite that hard.
Or quite so suicidal, I'm not sure.
Well, I knew this was a long hill, and I was like, there's no point in just destroying myself right at the beginning of this race. So what I did here is I slowed down and then went on the outside of this guy.
Nice, here you go. Okay.
Right before we went into the single track.
Okay, you got 3 or 4 there.
So there's another couple guys.
Another couple guys.
Another couple guys.
Oh my God, you passed so many people.
I passed a lot of people on this section.
And you're still going. Oh, and you're going to get this whole crew. That's awesome.
So I basically went up and I was like, oh, there's the start.
As you can see, this is the major pinch point. This is where, they're almost all coming to a stop. Oh, this guy, is he gonna pull it off? You're gonna let him? Oh, he's so nice.
The guy behind me had just let me in.
That's true, and what can you do, really?
It's like, whatever, you know, it didn't matter. So now we're all just like on the single track. This is actually a really cool little descent.
Obviously it's dusty.
Yeah.
So let's take a moment here, because you can't do much passing on the single track, but
I just have to point out I did double that because I was hoping the spectators would appreciate it, and there were no spectators there, so nobody even appreciated my double.
Anyway, that's the problem with doing cool things in XC races.
Yeah.
So this is a short track cross country race. That means that it is a very, 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 very short lap that you do.
3 minutes short lap.
You do that lap for 20 minutes plus 3. So basically at some point they will kind of decide, like the race officials will decide how many laps you have left. They will put a number up on the board, and then you know how many laps you have left. Before that, you just go as fast as you can.
Yeah. So they basically are watching what our times are. And after we've done like 2 or 3 laps, I think after 3 laps, they decided, okay, you guys are doing about 3-minute laps. You are going to now have 5 laps left or something like that. It actually might have been
and here goes everyone on the straight.
Yeah.
So this is already the finish straight, so that is extremely fast.
And that first lap was slightly shorter than later laps because we just sprinted up the road, and the next time we like went on a little thing.
Macky's getting passed. Oh wow, he went by you fast.
Yeah, I wasn't willing to work that hard on this part. I was like, I'd rather just draft people, so I let people go by me.
Yeah, so basically, Macky comes to the finish in 18th here. That means that he went from 35th to about 16th because he got passed by 2 people. So that's a solid start.
It was a good start.
Let's see if he can keep it up. That is the downside of starting in the back, right? Like you have to burn some matches right at the start that the guys in the front row do not have to do.
Then you're a little bit more tired, obviously. But here, like, all of us were still together, more or less.
And you're thinking about going around.
Yeah, I went around that guy. But like, I can see the leaders, like that's the lead pack right there. So I'm like, 10 seconds behind them.
Oh yeah, no, you were right there on the first lap.
The first lap.
Foreshadowing. Okay, so this is where the course is a little different. This is not the hill that they went up on the first lap.
We're actually like down to the right. There's a road there. That's the one we went up the first lap.
As you could see from that entrance to the single track, if they had done that on the first lap, it would have been, or if they had gone into the single track any earlier on the first lap, that would have been majorly bad.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like
so instead, we like sprinted up this hill, went past the porta potties.
Yeah, story about the porta potty coming later.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Porta potty's right there. Notice that. That's important.
Note the porta potty.
And then back into single track right here. And that's part of why I let these guys get a gap on me, is I was like, we're gonna go right back to the single
just
track.
catch right up.
Why sprint and be stuck behind them and then like get stuck on the single track? So this is my friend Alexi, who lives in Boulder. He and I rode together once, twice.
Alexi got rubber banded there for sure.
Yeah, he did.
He got jammed.
Rubber banded is when you're like sprinting to keep up, and then everybody slams on the brakes, and so you like boink.
Right, and you have too much momentum.
Everybody sprints again, and you go boo.
But like, I think for Alexi there, he was right on that rock when everyone like stopped, and it was just like bad news.
Yeah, that's why you had to put a foot
So here
down.
goes Macky into the woods. See if he can catch up. You're breathing pretty hard already at this point.
I was a little tired and also working quite hard.
As you can imagine, short track is an extremely tactical race, much more so than standard cross country. The guys at the front were definitely drafting. Like your crew was definitely drafting. You're gaining on Alexi a little bit here in the woods.
Yeah, it's tactical and you know, it's short. Like the entire race is like 30 minutes or less. And I actually was a pretty good short track racer. I have a Stars and Stripes, a national championship as a semi-pro in short track, but that was 2006. So it's been a little while. And then like I raced it and did well. I think I got some like top 5 finishes, some podium finishes at the national level as a pro. And then we started racing enduro, which actually works fairly well for short track also because they're pretty short.
It's definitely more of a power sport than an endurance race.
Yeah.
It is going to be like about 20 minutes.
Yeah, and you're like, well, 30 minutes, 20 minutes plus 3, so that's usually between like 26 and 30 minutes.
If you make it the whole way.
If you make it the whole time. But yeah, I haven't really been training for either enduro or short track, definitely not short track. As you can see, people going by me again.
Yeah, Macky's been doing a lot of climbing recently, which I feel like you're getting passed on the flats, which was not like...
That didn't used to be.
That didn't used to be your problem.
Well, part of it is I didn't really want to like work that hard because I was like, look, we're all, like everybody's rubber banding. I'd rather draft people. Like here, everybody just hit their brakes.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Which like is annoying because if you don't hit your brakes, you can like roll through it nice and smooth and carry momentum. Well, instead, everyone's like, ah! And it's frustrating.
But it's hard because when it's in a group, it's like a traffic jam, right? Exactly. It's not anybody's fault, but like one person hits their brakes and everybody hits their brakes and it just...
Yeah. So what I was doing is like not working super hard on that flat and trying to draft people and letting people come by me. But then I could tell that they would get, like they had pushed really hard on the flat, so they would get tired. So if you see here in a second, I'm pretty sure I passed like 2 guys again. So it was kind of like a couple people would pass me and I'd pass a couple of them back. And that's sort of how it went because I just didn't want to work that hard on the flats. Maybe I should have in hindsight, but I didn't.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure.
It's just hard to know is really like, you know, obviously if you're at the very front, you're just kind of going as hard as you can to make sure you don't get dropped and the group behind you doesn't catch, but...
Uh-oh, here comes somebody.
Yeah.
Wow. What was he doing back there? He's like moving through there.
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna make a move, you're gonna make a move.
I was like, this guy, I want to go up with those guys in the orange instead, so... Or that guy in the orange.
Very close to the porta potty.
Yeah. So once again, here we go into the single track.
And
everybody slows down, and so I was like able to sort of catch back up. And that was part of it, is I was like, I don't want to work. For me, it was all about conserving energy.
Right.
Because A, I was tired, and B, I haven't been training for short track. So I was trying to figure out like, where can I make up time without working too hard? Where can I like back it off a little bit without losing too much time? I would not say that I pulled it off exactly the way I wanted.
That was the strategy. We're not saying at this point whether you executed the strategy or not.
Well, I didn't win. We'll go ahead and spoiler alert that one for you.
Yeah, no, that's pretty.
Yeah, it would have been, yeah. Did I double it this time? Yeah.
Oh yeah, nice double.
But none of the.
Oh yeah, they did. They did though. You just didn't hear them in real life.
No.
Somebody's cheering you on there.
Yeah, people were cheering me in the corners, but I wanted someone to appreciate my double because nobody else was doubling those that I could see.
So at this point, you're probably just gasping for air.
Oh yeah.
Starting to feel it pretty intensely.
Yeah. So I was riding the Rocket, which is Niner's full suspension XC bike, 100 millimeter in the front, 90 in the back. It was great through the rock gardens. Like I felt like I had a little bit, I had some extra suspension, or not extra suspension, but I had enough to just like bomb through the rock gardens.
You had suspension compared to a lot of the guys on hardtails in this race. Yeah.
And compared to my single speed race where I was on hardtail, and that last tiny little section was part of the single speed race also. So yeah, once again, we're on the flat here. I did not want to work on the flats, so I let people go. That's the guy that I passed on the hill again. Yeah. He passed me last time, I passed him back.
Oh, he's making a gap on you, though.
I know.
It was windy this day, too, so I think...
I should have worked harder on the flat.
If anything... who that was. If anything, you're a bit losing wow, this guy's cadence is extremely fast.
Yeah.
And, like,
but I used him as a draft. I was like, cool, you're going to be my draft. And there's Sid right there on the left.
Oh, there I am.
That was where Sid was.
So an important thing to understand about short track is because these laps are so fast and the field is so big, they start pulling people out of the race before they get lapped, just to prevent the leaders catching them. So it's called the 80% rule. If you are 80% behind the leaders, which on a 3-minute lap is not that much.
So if the leaders are 80% around the lap, as you come through the start finish, then they pull you. So basically,
how do they know though? They're calculating. They're going based on the time. Yeah, if you're going,
yeah. So they are saying like, okay, the leaders came through at this time. It takes about 3 minutes to do the lap. If you are therefore what's 80% of 3 minutes? 180. It'd be like 150 seconds. So if you're like 2.5 minutes behind the leader, you're 80% behind the.
And I think they were pulling people before that, actually.
Yeah, well, they want to make sure that
because I don't think you were
catch people and like get screwed up, or like it doesn't affect the results of the race. I'm breathing pretty hard here. You can hear.
Yeah, I think this was probably about the point. Like you looked really good on those first 3 laps when you came through, and then not so good.
Oh yeah, not so good.
I think things started to catch up with you a little bit, like having to go that hard in the beginning.
Yeah.
So the story about the porta potty is that for the top 3, there was a breakaway at the front of this race with Keegan Swenson, who is the current national champion, and
Steven DeVost
and Russell Finsterwald.
Yeah.
And then with about 3 laps to go, Keegan and Steven came through the finish. I was at the finish. And they were like looking around them like, where the heck did Finsty go, basically. Even the announcer was like, where did Finsty go? Oh, that guy looks like he pulled out. Yeah. He had been not that far behind you. Yeah.
So Finsty was gone, and we found out later that he had been hit by a porta potty door.
So someone opened the door of the porta potty and took out the 3rd place rider. Huge bummer.
It broke his shifter, so he
was done, basically.
Yeah. So like he finished the race, but he wasn't able to stay up there in 3rd place. So.
And I think some questionable course design for sure, especially after looking at the race course. Like you really did go past those doors like many, many times. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what planet the person was on who went into the porta potty while this race was happening, but you know. Maybe they'd been in there the whole time.
They didn't even know the race had started.
I feel like there's a story there somewhere. Okay, so they got a bit of a gap on you on the climb there.
Mm-hmm. And I wasn't able to make it up on the
No,
descent.
this isn't the
Like,
kind of descent where you really make up time. You
No.
just don't lose any.
everybody's kind of going the same speed. If you're going, like if you're not a great descender, you can lose time on the descent.
But all of these guys are
yeah,
very competent
exactly.
descenders.
So everybody's
I'd say.
going
like you would
basically
beat them in
the
an
same
enduro race probably,
Yeah.
but like this
but
is an
those
XC
trails
trail,
are
you know.
much.
Oh dear,
much
Macky, no
rougher.
one's even in sight.
I know. It's okay. There's people behind me who are going to catch and pass me. And then I can draft them.
So what advice would you have for anyone considering a short track race? Because you're not making this look like a ton of fun with this video.
Short track is really hard.
Yeah.
It's not exactly like, if your goal is to go and have fun and ride cool trails, short track's not really the thing to do. But it's great for spectators, and it's actually, like, I think it's super fun to race.
There's more going on in it than in your average cross-country race.
Because you're like going back and forth and going up the hill, and you can, there's a lot going on, and it's really short, which means you can push really hard. So if it's your first ever short track race, just go as hard as you can the entire time. Because either you won't get pulled, and that's great, or you will get pulled, and at least you didn't like save any energy for later.
Do you feel like you saved any? You're still completely by yourself here.
Yeah. I think I was sort of calculating, because I think I went through there. No, I think on this lap there was maybe 5 laps to go, and I was like, okay, 5 laps to go. I need to not totally destroy myself. Like I'm not, I'm certainly not gonna win anything, but like I want to be able to like keep going for 5 laps. So I think I was conserving a little bit of energy, which was perhaps not the best
Not the
decision.
move.
Yeah. Yeah, so do you see this guy came by me, and then this guy came by both of us, and I went with that guy instead.
Good
So,
call.
yeah, I mean, it was, I was able to push somewhat, but I just, overall, I was tired and just not able to go like I would like to. So.
Yeah, I mean, you can't win them all, as they
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You can't. You can't feel good on them all
Yeah, you
either.
don't,
I think
yeah.
it's still training. So again, let's all observe how close we go to the porta potty door. This could have been Macky. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you could definitely get taken out by a porta potty door.
Yeah. All right, and into the single track. Were you relieved every time you went in the single track, or are you really just going just as hard going down?
Yeah,
it's
well,
not really,
you mean down? No. So this single track is still climbing.
and it's probably steeper than it looks, huh?
And it's got rocks in it, which
Yeah.
they're not hard to get over, but you do have to like
and when you're
crank up and
gassed,
over.
it's just like having to put a few
One
more watts
thing,
down for
exactly.
that is
and
hard.
then
Yeah.
going on to this part, it's like, okay, cool, relieved because it's a descent. But like we were saying, I wasn't really able to make up time on the descent because everybody's descending this well. It's not super technical. The corners are like pretty straightforward. So there's not really time
are
to be
looking
made
tired
up.
here too.
I was definitely
Are you
tired.
gonna go for your double, or is this where?
I can't remember. This might have been where I gave up on doing the double. I think at this point I did.
Yeah,
I
no.
decided
Wah, wah.
that nobody was cheering for me anyway on the double. I mean, it's cool. That's the other thing that's fun about short track is, as you guys can see, the course is so short that like there are a lot of people on the court. Obviously, tons of people near the start finish, but then it's what, a 5-minute walk for people to get up to the actual course. So you get people on there cheering, and that really makes it a lot more fun.
I'd say a lot of cross country or enduro racing, you just like don't see anyone for the entire race. And that was something that when we did like Enduro World Series races, that was very cool, is that the courses would actually be lined the entire way. And
Or at
short
least
track,
in
that's,
sections.
short track is a little more feasible to have like people out there watching, which definitely like gives it a national champs vibe that.
Well, at least for me, I tend to be able to go harder if there's people like, come on, go!
Yeah.
I'm not sure this is the perfect example of my going harder, but like here I am, I survived.
Oh, this looks so painful.
Yeah, I was definitely on the old struggle bus at this point.
It's hard when you're alone too, because it's windy. Oh, but you're not alone. Look,
I wasn't
oh, this guy, you and this guy were going back and forth the whole time.
Yeah.
This is fast cadence guy.
Yeah. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep up with him, because then I have somebody to draft.
Yeah.
And I did, so that was good.
Oh, and there goes
Oh,
this
yeah,
guy
and the
again.
Czech guy.
This guy goes really hard on the flats. All right, so here you have gone through the finish. This is the part where, from my view as a spectator, I started to get a little concerned because they pulled almost everyone behind you on this lap.
Yeah.
In fact, maybe everyone.
And you see, you don't really know that.
Right,
like,
I didn't have a way to communicate that to you.
Like,
yeah.
That's where they pull you, and so I wasn't like looking back, like, oh, did they pull the guys behind me? So I was like, okay, you know, I'm exhausted, I'm hurting, but I'm doing okay. I can make another 3 laps, because when I came through, it said 3 to go. And that was, like I was saying, with the flats there, that was why I was trying to conserve energy. It was like, conserve a little energy on the flats so that I can go hard enough to stay with people on the climb, and then the descent.
Oh, guess they didn't pull that guy. I think he might have been right on your wheel, though.
And then the descent, you just kind of like go down the descent, and then you're back on the flats. And so I was trying to balance that, like going hard enough, but not going too hard. And I'm not sure I pulled, I think I needed to go harder on the flats, basically.
Because that was where everyone made moves, basically. And I think what kind of happened to you by not going that hard on the flats is things spread out.
Yeah.
And you missed some like opportunities. So, but I also think you started really hard and then just couldn't quite keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started hard and got a good start position, which was, I mean, not start position, but a good entrance into the single track, which was great. Yeah, so obviously I had, 2 guys pass me and passed the guy in yellow who had passed me on the flats. Mm-hmm. I think he and I were both suffering, and he went harder on the flat part, and then I had more energy for the climb.
Which was you have strength for what you train, too. And I think with Macky doing an Everesting last year.
This was the first time I went through the tree.
Oh, nice, cool.
I was like, this is another line, I should try it. And yeah, I should have tried it earlier, because it's pretty good, actually.
But with Macky doing an Everesting last year, like you just spent like an entire year working on your climbing fitness, and I think it really paid off. Mm-hmm. But now it might be time to kind of turn attention back to like the flats and
able to go hard on the
I mean,
flats.
your sprints seem to still be solid, but I feel like sprinting is not the same as like power on flats, like aero. Also, some of these guys are like hands on the like center of their bars or on the crown of the fork, and like you were just like not looking aerodynamic. No offense.
She just called me fat, maybe? No,
not fat, just not aero.
And you know, I'm like, I have a slightly different build than a lot of these guys. Like when I was racing cross country in 2012, like up to 2012, I was probably 10 pounds lighter than I am currently. And like, I think that worked for me at that point, but I feel better. I feel like I have more control over the bicycle. I certainly have better technical skills now, but I think sort of the additional musculature that I have now that I didn't have then, I don't want to lose that, but I'm not sure that it is
helping you on the like endurance side.
Super XC stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, there you go. Now you're being aero or collapsing. Have you just collapsed? Your arm is like jello. Your arm is like flopping.
I was a little tired, guys. I've just been going for like 22 minutes, like pretty much all out. That's hard, turns out.
All right, here you go.
Let's see, the lap says 3 to go. Okay, so the last time it was 4 to go. So I have 3 laps to go at this point. And
I don't know if I even cheered you on this lap. I was just like, he's toast.
Like, he looks really sad.
Maybe I shouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go around the corner and let's see.
And you can see the guys right there, but they decided that I was far enough back that they pulled me. So I did not make it the 20 plus 3. I made it the 20, which was actually like 20, probably 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, you didn't get the plus 3, basically.
And, you know, that's kind of a bummer because it's been a while since I was pulled in a short track, but the last time I raced short track was
2013?
Probably.
That was definitely the last time you raced it at Nationals, was 2013.
Yeah, and like I raced the Fat Tire Crit at Oz Trails in 2019. I can't remember if I got pulled.
You didn't get pulled, but that was a little bit of a different game.
And it was a slightly longer lap, I think, but I'm not sure. But either way,
you were also fresh and whatnot.
It's been a long time since I did a short track. It was a bummer to get pulled, but also, frankly, I was kind of relieved. I was like, okay, cool. Well, now I don't have to go ride that stupid lap again.
Because you are, by that point, you're like, I'm not gonna make it into top 15,
yeah, I had
even
no idea
top
where
20.
I was. What did I end up, 26th
or 7th, I can't remember, yeah.
So great, you know, I mean, I started 35th or 30 something like that.
It's
so
always
I made
good
up
to
like 10
end
spots.
better than your start position.
Yeah, it was sort of like I had a decent start, like I worked hard at the start and got into the single track, and then just lost like 2 spots per lap until I got pulled.
Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we did. It was pretty fun to see it from your perspective. You guys were flying the entire way. Looked super hard, totally savage. Let us know if this is a style of racing you would try in the comments, and stay tuned, get subscribed, etc. for Friday for our National Champs vlog.
Yep. And in the meantime, don't forget
to be more awesome.